Hey, it's Rob from Untitled Family Farms, and today we are still fencing. So today I'm going to show you how we string the high tensile wire, how we tie it to the insulators that are tied to the posts, how we pop a straight line, set our T-posts, and then insulate the wire off those T-posts. So just for the sake of making things a little bit easier and a briefer video today, I've got a run. So just for the sake of making things a little bit easier today, I've got a short little run that's 100 yards or so, give or take, from a post right here to a post down that way. It's a straight run, so there's nothing real difficult about it, and it'll be close enough that you can see how it works quite well. Anyway, so it's good to have one of these reels of wire. They call them spinning jennies or whatever. It's just a reel that turns when you pull it. So I've got it set. I'm going to take the wire down there, and then I'll come back for the camera and show you how tie it off to the fence. Sometimes when you have a lot of excess wire, it'll get tangled up around spinning jennies, so getting started a lot of times is more work. And actually pulling along When I first started pulling the wire, you'll notice that I got it stuck, and in that process it got kinked. That is an accident waiting to happen. Once tension gets on that, it can break. That one probably will not, but I'm going to go on and cut it out anyway. There's about 40 feet of wire, but that 40 feet I can use to splice or tie insulators or anything else on. So we'll pull that through this top wire and tie it off. Now, you want to use a wire on the short stretches. It's not quite as important, but you want to use one of your top wires that's at least about waist high. A little bit below that is okay, because we'll go on and tie this wire off. That's the kink we're going to cut out. So we're going to go on and tie this wire off, and you want it to be able to, when you tighten it, you want it to be able to drop to the ground without sitting on the ground. You want it to be able to drop and pop. You'll see in a moment, so that it keeps the tension on there. Now, you just go through that center hole, the donut hole, to tie it. This is where it's nice to have someone with you, because it's best if you can keep tension on that wire. And the second person can grab your fence tools or pliers or something and just pull enough pressure on it so it doesn't turn. You do have to hold the insulator, or when you go to wrap the wire, it just turns and twists the whole wire and you're not actually wrapping. So when you're by yourself, it is a little bit troublesome, but you can do it. Now, we'll go back to the other end, cut it, tie it, stretch it. So we're back over to the back end. That end over there is tied already. And this one's ready to be tied. Now, on short stretches, I don't always try to pull it as tight as I can. On long stretches, you almost have to, otherwise you won't have enough slack in your reel when you go to tighten the fence. But and this is actually the easiest one to tie most of the time, because you've got tension pulling, and so all you've got to do is keep that insulator from twisting. So we've got that tied. Now we'll walk down and tighten the wire. In an ideal world, it doesn't. You would tighten the wire from the middle. I'm about a third closer to that post. It's not a big deal on shorter stretches that I've found, but if you're doing a lot of corners tied within that same line, it can be a big deal. Now, I do not have, I'm using these little wheel tighteners. They slide into your wire like that, and then you can use a 1/2-inch drive socket. They make a tool that ratchets that is the best thing to use. It clips onto the wire. My dad has one. I have not been able to find one at a hardware store locally since I've been back to the farm and didn't want to use my dad's. But you can use a regular ratchet as well, or they make a cheap little $20 tool that is kind of helpful. As I say, this is a breaker bar for a 1/2-inch drive socket and is more difficult to use. got more leverage, but it's real easy for it to twist and let loose and snap your fingers. Now there's a little pin that goes in these holes once you've got it tight. It slides all the way through. This pin is a little bit bent. Inevitably, we lose these pins. In fact, I bought a box of 25 of these tighteners, and it came with a bag of those pins, and I found the bag full of rocks. I have a strong suspicion that a child may have dumped them out or found the empty bag and filled the box with the bag full of rocks. But anyway, that's how you tighten the fence. Now it's tight enough that we go through. So now we want to go through, make sure there's nothing now we want to go through and make sure there's nothing on this that's catching and holding the fence down. That's a little problematic, that grapevine there, but I'll work around it. I'll grab the chainsaw and come cut that little branch out of the way. That stuff will need to be moved, but there's no real big things keeping this fence from so there's nothing other than that little branch, oak branch there that fell. Now this line here is free to be pulled tight. That grapevine is in the way down there. That oak, I really like the look and the shape of that oak. I'm going to leave it, even though it's kind of in the way. I really like that the grapevine is up there. It'll drop some muscadines, wild muscadines for the pigs later on. But I've basically got my straight line. It's tight enough. And now I can grab my T-posts and T-post driver and set them out. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back with you. Couple useful pieces of information about your T-post drivers. First and foremost, you can see that there's, I guess that's 1/4 inch steel that effectively doubles the weight of this driver. You can buy new T-post drivers from Tractor Supply and local co-ops and all, but they're usually much lighter. And while the lighter ones are easier to carry and easier to lift up, you work about 4 times as hard driving posts. And so when you drive posts in clay soil or through roots or through just really dry soil period, they go in much easier when you have the weight on your T-post driver. And having a driver that's 40 pounds, 30 or 40 pounds, compared to 5 or 10, 12 pounds, even 15 pounds, is so much more effective. Again, it's harder to carry, but when you start driving posts a long way for a long time, you'll know what I mean. Anyway, so now I'm going to go stretch these other 3 wires, put the insulators on, and we'll be finished with this fence.
Some people use fiberglass posts. I really like these T-posts. They're cheap, they are simple, and most importantly, if a tree falls on the fence, it doesn't break the post, it breaks the insulators. You don't have to cut the wire to replace the insulators. Whereas with like fiberglass posts, if you have a hole to pour through, yes, it's insulated. But the problem with that is if something happens to the post, you've got to cut the wire and run the wire through it. It also makes stringing the wire more difficult. And this, especially wood, really anywhere, will always have problems with fences. It may take years, but when you do, it's just much easier to repair with these T-posts.
So now that the fence is up, we'll just double check the height and all once we're ready to put the pigs in. We do have to connect these 3 wires to the electrical part of the fence. They will not stay electrified all the time, only when pigs are in here. And we'll show you that sometime as well. But for now, this is how we set up the electric fence. You should have seen the video that shows how we set our posts into the ground in gravel, how we tie the insulators to the posts, those porcelain insulators to the posts, and how we string the wire, make sure we have a straight line, then drive our post into the ground, our T-post into the ground, and use these plastic insulators on the T-posts. You can use fiberglass T-posts. A lot of times what people do with those is they drill a hole through the fiberglass post and then put the post in the ground, run the wire through the post. We've never used those. We have used a similar type system with some cedar posts, and the problem with that is that when they break, if you have a line break, a post break, or because a tree falls on it, whatever may happen, because somebody's driving down the road and jumps the ditch and runs into your electric fence. Whatever the reason may be, when there's a problem on the fence, with those type of post, fiberglass or wood, that you just drill a hole through and run the wire through the post itself, the problem with that is that they're not as easily fixed. We'll have trees fall down on this fence, and what happens is this white oak here probably would not break it if it fell. One of these larger oaks, one of the pin oaks or whatever in the back might. But let's say they did, what would happen most of the time is they would, unless they just fell on the T-post, and if they did, you just pull it up and replace it, but they'll break this plastic insulator, and you just pop a new insulator on. They're $5 for a pack of 25, so they're relatively cheap, about 20 cents a piece or so, I guess, and they last for 10, 20, 30 years, depending on how much sunlight gets on them and degrades them. So it's real easy to fix and real easy to take care of. Maybe in some future videos I'll show you how to splice these wires together. We use a square knot. Again, I'll show you that some other time. But this is how we set up the fence. We've got a long run of about 900 feet. We've got 2 wires there to make, and then a similar run of about 900 feet, 2 wires, and then this paddock will be fenced in. And basically it'll be ready for pigs as well. So that's how we do fencing at Untitled Family Farms with our high tensile electric fence. If you like this video, please feel free to share it. It'd really help us a lot. Give us that thumbs up, and of course always subscribe to our channel to see all the different things that we're doing at Untitled Family Farms. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.